Published in 1850, David Copperfield is often regarded as Charles Dickens's most personal and beloved novel. Drawing heavily from Dickens's own life, the book blends autobiography, social commentary, and emotional storytelling into a sweeping narrative of growth, suffering, and self-discovery. Told in the first person, the novel follows the life of David Copperfield from childhood to maturity, tracing his struggles, relationships, and moral development in Victorian England. More than a coming-of-age story, David Copperfield explores themes of resilience, kindness, ambition, and the search for identity. Dickens uses a rich cast of unforgettable characters to examine social injustice, the value of empathy, and the possibility of redemption. David Copperfield is born on a stormy night, foreshadowing a life filled with turmoil. His father dies before his birth, leaving David to be raised by his gentle and loving mother, Clara Copperfield, and their devoted housekeeper, Peggotty. David's early childhood is marked by warmth, safety, and affection. This happiness is shattered when Clara marries Edward Murdstone, a cold and controlling man who believes in strict discipline. Murdstone, aided by his equally harsh sister Jane Murdstone, dominates the household. David is subjected to emotional and physical abuse, while his mother becomes increasingly fearful and submissive. After David is punished harshly, he is sent away to Salem House, a brutal boarding school run by the cruel Mr. Creakle. There, David experiences loneliness and injustice, but also meets James Steerforth, a charismatic and arrogant boy who becomes both a friend and a negative influence. David's mother dies suddenly, leaving him completely vulnerable. Murdstone responds by removing David from school and forcing him to work in a bottle-washing factory in London, a deeply traumatic experience inspired by Dickens's own childhood labor. David is neglected, impoverished, and emotionally abandoned. Desperate for safety and love, David runs away from London and makes a long, exhausting journey to the home of his eccentric aunt, Betsy Trotwood. Though initially stern and unpredictable, Aunt Betsy shows deep compassion and decides to raise David as her own. This marks a turning point in David's life. Under Aunt Betsy's protection, David returns to school and begins rebuilding his sense of self-worth. He forms friendships, including one with the kind but simple-minded Mr. Dick, who lives with Aunt Betsy and becomes a source of wisdom and innocence. David matures academically and emotionally, discovering his talents and ambitions. His early suffering shapes his empathy and moral sensitivity, setting him apart from those hardened by privilege. As a young man, David becomes infatuated with Dora Spenlow, the charming but childish daughter of his employer. Blinded by romantic idealism, David marries Dora despite clear signs that she is ill-suited to the responsibilities of marriage. Their marriage is affectionate but impractical. Dora is incapable of managing household duties, and David gradually realizes that love alone cannot sustain a partnership. Dora's eventual illness and death leave David heartbroken but wiser. This phase of David's life represents the painful loss of youthful illusion. Through Dora, Dickens explores the difference between romantic fantasy and mature love. David pursues a career as a writer, gradually achieving success through perseverance and discipline. Along the way, he encounters a range of characters who shape his moral understanding. One of the most important is Agnes Wickfield, the daughter of David's former schoolmaster. Agnes is intelligent, steady, and morally grounded. Though David overlooks her love for him for many years, she quietly supports him through his struggles. Another central figure is Uriah Heep, a deceitful and manipulative clerk who pretends humility while secretly seeking power. Heap's hypocrisy and ambition threaten Agnes and her father, Mr. Wickfield, who falls into despair under Heap's influence. Heap represents moral corruption disguised as submission, contrasting sharply with David's developing integrity. Parallel to David's journey is the story of the Peggotty family, whose lives highlight Dickens's concern for social inequality. Peggotty's brother, Mr. Peggotty, is a warm-hearted fisherman who raises his orphaned nephew Ham and niece Emily. Emily, longing for wealth and status, is seduced and abandoned by Steerforth, causing deep shame and suffering. Ham dies heroically attempting to rescue sailors during a storm, while Emily eventually seeks redemption by emigrating to a new life abroad. These events expose the devastating consequences of class inequality and exploitation. Steerforth's downfall illustrates the danger of charm without moral responsibility, reinforcing Dickens's critique of privilege. As David matures, he begins to reflect honestly on his own weaknesses, his pride, his tendency toward idealization, and his delayed recognition of true love. After Dora's death, David spends time abroad, gaining perspective and emotional clarity. During this period, Uriah Heep is finally exposed and defeated, thanks to the courage and intelligence of Agnes and others. Justice is restored, and moral order is re-established. David returns to England transformed, humble, disciplined, and ready to embrace genuine happiness. David ultimately recognizes that Agnes Wickfield has always been his moral anchor and true companion. Their love is based not on fantasy, but on mutual respect, understanding, and shared values. They marry and build a life grounded in emotional maturity and partnership. David achieves success as a writer, finding fulfillment not only in his career, but in family and friendship. David Copperfield explores several major themes: childhood trauma and resilience, the importance of kindness and empathy, the dangers of pride and illusion, social injustice and class inequality, moral growth and self-awareness. Dickens emphasizes that character is shaped by both suffering and compassion. Those who endure hardship with empathy emerge stronger, while those who exploit others face downfall. The novel's first-person narration creates intimacy and emotional depth. Dickens's vivid characterizations, often humorous, exaggerated, and symbolic, bring Victorian society to life. As a semi-autobiographical work, David Copperfield offers insight into Dickens's own experiences with poverty, labor, and ambition. Its influence can be seen in countless coming-of-age novels that followed. David Copperfield is a profound exploration of personal growth, morality, and human connection. Through David's journey from abused child to fulfilled adult, Charles Dickens celebrates resilience, compassion, and the power of self-reflection. The novel endures because it speaks to universal experiences: loss, love, failure, and redemption. More than a story of one man's life, David Copperfield is a testament to the belief that kindness and perseverance can transform suffering into purpose. Thank you for watching. Your support helps this channel grow. Please like the video, subscribe, and comment your favorite book so I know what to summarize next.